Let's dive into another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. As usual, I'll provide scenarios to help you understand how to use them.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's first?
First on our list is cut out. This phrase can be used in different ways, but commonly it means to remove something, often from a larger piece. For example, if you're making a collage and you cut out pictures from magazines, you're removing them to use in your artwork. It can also mean to stop or eliminate something from your diet or habits.
So, if my doctor says I should cut out sugar, that means I should stop eating it, right?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about elimination for health or practical reasons. Next, we have do without. This means to manage or survive without having something that you might normally have. For instance, if you forgot your phone at home, you'd have to do without it for the day.
Like when the power went out and we had to do without electricity for a few hours, we used candles instead.
Perfect example, Sarah. It's all about adapting to the situation. Now let's discuss drop in. This phrase means to visit someone unexpectedly or without a formal invitation. If you're in the neighborhood and decide to visit a friend without calling them first, you're dropping in.
That's like when my aunt drops in for coffee sometimes. She just comes over when she's nearby.
Exactly. It's a casual, spontaneous visit. Lastly, we have eat in. This means to have your meal at home instead of going out to a restaurant. If you decide to cook dinner and stay home on a Friday night, you're choosing to eat in.
So, when we decide to make pizza at home instead of going out, we're eating in. Got it.
You've got it, Sarah. These phrasal verbs are very useful for everyday situations, and you're understanding them beautifully. How do you feel about these new ones?
I feel great about them, Mr. Davis. Your real-life examples make them easy to understand. I'm starting to notice phrasal verbs everywhere now.
That's wonderful to hear, Sarah. Noticing them in your daily life is a great sign that you're integrating what you've learned. Keep practicing, and soon using phrasal verbs will become second nature. Ready for the next set of lessons?
Yes, I can't wait. Thank you for making learning so engaging, Mr. Davis.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your eagerness to learn makes teaching a joy. I look forward to our next session together. Keep up the excellent work. Hey Emily, I heard you've started a new fitness regime. How's that going?
It's going well, David. I've had to cut out sugar and processed foods. It's tough, but I'm sticking to it.
That's impressive. I don't know if I could do without my weekend pizza.
It's all about balance. By the way, did you finish that painting you were working on?
Not yet. I've been working on it every evening, but it's taking longer than I thought.
Art takes time. Don't rush it. So are we still on for the movie night this Friday?
Absolutely. I was thinking we could eat in and watch something classic. What do you think?
I love that idea. Eating in is much more relaxing. I can make one of my new healthy recipes.
Sounds great. I'll bring the movie. Something light-hearted, perhaps?
Yes, please. Nothing too heavy. Oh, and how did it go with your sister? Did you drop in to see her new place?
I did drop in last weekend. Her new apartment is fantastic. She's done a great job with the space.
That's wonderful. I'd love to see it sometime.
I'm sure she'd be happy to have us drop in together. She's always asking about you.
Let's plan that. Did she get through the moving process okay?
Mostly, yes. There were a few hiccups, but nothing major.
Moving is never easy. Speaking of homes, have you decided whether to renovate your kitchen?
I have, and I'm going to go ahead with it. It's a big investment, but I think it's worth it.
Definitely. A good kitchen is a game changer, especially if you're eating in more often.
Exactly my thought. How about your car? Did you manage to get it fixed?
Yes, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I've realized I could do without it more often. I've been walking and cycling a lot.
That's a healthy choice. Plus, it's better for the environment.
True. And speaking of health, how's your mom doing? I remember she was going through a tough time.
She's better, thanks for asking. She's started gardening, which seems to be a great stress reliever for her.
That's good to hear. Gardens can be so therapeutic.
They really can. Do you still plan on attending that cooking class next week?
Yes, I'm excited about it. It's all about plant-based meals, which will help since I've cut out meat recently.
That'll be interesting. Maybe you can show me some recipes. I could do with some healthier meals.
Of course, I'd love to. Maybe I can cook for us before the movie night?
That'd be fantastic. I'll bring the wine. Or would you prefer something non-alcoholic?
Some herbal tea would be great. Trying to cut out alcohol, too.
You're really dedicated to this new lifestyle. It's impressive.
It's not easy, but I feel so much better. I don't even miss the things I've cut out.
It's amazing how our bodies adapt. By the way, are you still planning on going to Spain next month?
Yes, the trip is all set. I'm looking forward to it. A week in the sun will be nice.
That sounds amazing. You deserve a break.
Thanks, David. It'll be a good chance to relax and take off some time from work.
Definitely. Remember to send me some photos.
Will do. And when I get back, we should plan out a day to drop in on your sister.
Sounds like a plan. Safe travels, Emily.
Thanks, David. Oh, and before I forget, do you want to drop in at the farmer's market this Saturday? We can pick up some fresh ingredients for our movie night.
That's a great idea. I'll meet you there.
Perfect. See you then, David.
Let's jump into our next set of phrasal verbs. I'll provide scenarios for each to help clarify their meanings.
Sounds good, Mr. Davis. I'm ready to learn.
First, we have fall for. This can mean to be deceived by something, like falling for a trick or a joke. However, it's also commonly used to describe developing romantic feelings for someone. For example, if you start to like someone a lot, you might say you're falling for them.
So, if my friend plays a prank on me, I can say I fell for it. And if I like someone new at school, I could also say I'm falling for them.
Exactly, Sarah. It's all about the context. Next is get over. This phrase is often used to describe recovering from something, like an illness or a breakup. If your friend is sad about a breakup, you might tell them that they'll get over it with time.
Like when I got over the flu last winter, I had to rest, but eventually I felt better.
That's right. It's about moving past a difficult situation or condition. Now let's cover hit on. This means to show romantic interest in someone, often by flirting or making advances. If someone at a party is trying to start a romantic conversation with you, they might be hitting on you.
Oh, I see. It's like when someone tries to be extra nice or compliments you because they like you.
Correct, Sarah. It's all about showing interest in a more direct way. Lastly, we have keep on. This means to continue doing something. For instance, if you're doing a good job on a project, someone might encourage you to keep on working hard.
So, if I love painting and I'm getting better at it, my art teacher might tell me to keep on painting.
Exactly, Sarah. It's about persistence and continuation. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They can add so much depth to your conversations. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much more confident, Mr. Davis. It's interesting to see how versatile English is with these phrasal verbs. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your ability to grasp and apply these concepts is impressive. Keep practicing, and don't hesitate to experiment with using these phrasal verbs in your conversations. Ready for more learning adventures?
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Davis.
It's my pleasure, Sarah. Your enthusiasm makes teaching very rewarding. I'm excited for our next lesson together. Keep up the great work. Hey, Ava, you seem cheerful today. What's the good news?
Hey, Ryan, you won't believe what happened. Remember the guy I told you about? The one I thought I was falling for?
Yeah, the one from your art class. What about him?
He finally asked me out. I can't believe I actually fell for someone so quickly, but he's amazing.
That's fantastic, Ava. I'm happy for you. It's great when feelings are mutual.
Thanks, Ryan. But enough about me. How have you been? Did you ever get over that situation with your neighbor?
Sort of. I'm still working on it. She's been a bit difficult lately, keeping on with the loud music at night.
That sounds frustrating. Have you tried talking to her again?
I have, but it doesn't seem to help. She just keeps on doing it. Maybe she'll eventually stop.
Hopefully. Changing the subject, did you hear about the new cafe opening downtown?
No, I haven't. What's special about it?
They're doing these live music nights. I thought we could check it out. Maybe it can help take your mind off the neighbor issue.
Sounds like a plan. It's always good to find new places to hang out.
Definitely. Oh, and speaking of new places, have you been to the renovated museum yet?
Not yet. I've been meaning to go. Have you?
I went last weekend. The new exhibits are impressive. You should check them out.
I will. Museums always help me relax. It's a nice escape.
They are. So, back to your neighbor, have you thought about talking to the building manager?
I might have to. I just need to get over my reluctance to cause a fuss.
Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, especially if it's affecting your peace.
That's true. I'll talk to the manager this week.
Good for you. Oh, did I tell you about the weird encounter I had at the gym?
No, what happened?
This guy started hitting on me out of nowhere. It was so awkward.
Really? Some guys just don't know how to behave. How did you handle it?
I just kept on with my workout and ignored him. He eventually got the hint.
Good move. I'll never understand why some people think the gym is a place to hit on others.
Me neither. Anyway, how's work going? Are you still keeping on with those late-night shifts?
Yeah, for now. They're tough, but I'm managing. I just keep on telling myself it's temporary.
That's a good attitude. Hopefully, you'll get a better schedule soon.
I hope so. Enough about work, though. Are you excited about your date?
I am. I can't believe I fell for someone so quickly. It's been a while since I felt this way.
It's always exciting when you fall for someone new. Just enjoy the moment.
I plan to. Oh, and are you still planning to take up that photography class?
Yes, I am. I'm looking forward to it. Photography has always been a hobby I wanted to explore more.
That's great. It's important to have hobbies to keep on with, especially with your busy work life.
Absolutely. It's good to have something else to focus on.
Definitely. Speaking of which, I need to pick up some art supplies for my class. Want to come along?
Sure, I could use a break. Maybe I'll find something for my photography there too.
Perfect. It's a date then. And Ryan, about your neighbor, just remember that standing up for yourself is important. You'll get over the awkwardness once it's done.
Thanks, Ava. I appreciate the support. Let's go get those supplies. Let's explore another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide you with examples to ensure you understand each one clearly.
I'm ready to learn, Mr. Davis.
First, we have live on. This can mean to continue living or existing, especially after surviving something. It can also refer to what someone relies on for sustenance. Like if someone says they live on pasta, it means pasta is a staple of their diet.
So, if someone's memory or legacy continues to influence people even after they're gone, you could say they live on?
Precisely, Sarah. It captures both the literal and metaphorical aspects of continuing to have an impact. Next up is pass up. This means to decline an opportunity or offer, choosing not to take advantage of it. For example, if you're offered a chance to go to a concert but decide not to go, you're passing up the opportunity.
Like if I decide not to buy a dress on sale because I'm saving money, I'm passing it up.
Exactly. It's all about making a choice to let something go. Now let's talk about put on. This phrase has several uses, but commonly it means to place clothing on your body. It can also refer to applying something, like makeup, or to staging a performance, like a play or a concert.
So, in the morning, I put on my clothes, and the school drama club might put on a play.
Right on both counts, Sarah. It's a versatile phrase. Lastly, we have run over. This can mean to exceed a planned amount of time, like when a meeting runs over its scheduled end. It can also literally mean to hit something with a vehicle.
So, if our class takes longer than it should, it's running over. And it's really bad if someone runs over a mailbox with their car.
Correct, Sarah. Run over can describe situations ranging from the mundane to the serious, depending on the context. You've done an excellent job with these phrasal verbs. They're key to expressing a wide range of actions and decisions. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot better about them, Mr. Davis. These examples really help me see how I can use them in everyday situations. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. I'm glad to see your understanding and confidence growing. Remember, practice is key. Don't hesitate to use these phrases in your conversations. Ready to tackle more in our next lesson?
Yes, I can't wait. Your lessons are always so helpful, Mr. Davis.
That's great to hear, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is truly inspiring. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work.
Hey, Jack. Fancy seeing you here.
Emma, what a surprise. I was just living on coffee and pastries here. Join me?
Thanks. I can never pass up a good cup of coffee. How's everything?
Can't complain. I've been putting on a brave face with all the work stress lately. You?
Same here. Just got over a hectic week. I could use a break.
Speaking of breaks, I almost passed up an opportunity to go hiking last weekend. Glad I didn't, though. The views were breathtaking.
Oh, I saw your photos. I can't believe you almost passed that up. I live on those little weekend adventures.
I know, right? What about you? Any adventures lately?
Well, I put on a little backyard concert last week. Just me, my guitar, and some close friends.
That's awesome. You always had a knack for music. Don't tell me you passed up the chance to play your new song?
Not at all. I played it. It was a hit.
I wish I hadn't missed it. I had to run over to my cousin's wedding that day. It was out of town.
Weddings are important too. But hey, I can always put on another mini concert for you.
I'll hold you to that. So, any exciting plans coming up?
Actually, yes. I'm planning to live on a boat for a week. Always wanted to try a boating holiday.
That sounds amazing. I wouldn't pass up an opportunity like that for anything.
You should come. It'll be an adventure. We can fish, swim, and just relax on the water.
Tempting. But I can't pass up this big project at work. Maybe next time?
Fair enough. I'll bring you some stories and hopefully not a sunburn.
Please do. And hey, before you live on a boat, let's catch up properly. Dinner next week?
Sounds like a plan. But don't pass up dessert this time.
Wouldn't dream of it. It's a deal then. Dinner and dessert, no passing up.
Great. I should run over to my meeting now. But I'm looking forward to dinner.
Me too. Take care, Emma, and don't forget to put on sunscreen on your boating trip.
Will do. Bye, Jack.
Let's dive into another group of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide clear examples for each to enhance your understanding.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
Our first phrasal verb is setback. This is used to describe causing a delay or hindrance to progress. For example, if you're saving money for a new bike, but you have to spend some on unexpected expenses, it could set back your savings goal.
So, if bad weather delays the construction of a new park, that's a setback?
Exactly, Sarah. It's anything that causes a delay in progress. Next up, we have take in. This can mean to understand or absorb information. It can also refer to experiencing or attending something, like a movie or a concert. Additionally, take in can mean to provide shelter or adopt, as in taking in a stray cat.
Like when I take in a lot of information from a book, or if my family decides to take in a foster pet.
Precisely. It's a versatile phrase with several uses. Now let's discuss turn around. It can mean to change direction physically, but it's also often used metaphorically to describe a complete change in circumstances, attitude, or performance. For example, if a business is failing but then starts to be profitable, it has turned around.
That makes sense. Like if a student improves their grades dramatically, you could say they've turned their performance around.
That's a perfect example, Sarah. Lastly, we have wind up. This can mean to end up in a particular place, situation, or state, often unexpectedly. It can also refer to the act of finishing something or the process of winding a mechanism, like a watch.
So, if I start the day planning to go to the library but wind up at the movies instead, it means my plans changed?
Exactly, Sarah. Wind up often indicates an unexpected conclusion or result. You're doing an excellent job grasping these phrasal verbs. They add so much depth and nuance to your expression. How are you feeling about them now?
I feel much more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. These examples really help me see how I can use them in conversations. Thanks.
You're welcome, Sarah. It's great to hear that you're feeling more confident. Phrasal verbs are a key part of fluent English conversation, and you're mastering them beautifully. Keep practicing, and soon they'll become second nature. Ready for more learning?
Absolutely, Mr. Davis. I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Your enthusiasm is inspiring, Sarah. I'm excited for our next lesson. Keep up the great work.
Morning, Jordan. How's the project going?
Hi, Alex. It's moving, but we've been set back by some unexpected issues with the software.
Oh no, that sounds stressful. Is there anything I can do to help?
I appreciate it, but we're managing. Just had to take in some extra help from the IT department.
That's good to hear. It's amazing how quickly things can turn around with a bit of teamwork.
Absolutely. And how about your presentation? I heard you were presenting to the board today.
Yes, I was pretty nervous, but it went surprisingly well. I managed to turn around their initial skepticism.
That's great. I knew you'd impress them.
Thanks. But honestly, I thought I'd wind up making a fool of myself. Public speaking isn't my strongest suit.
You always sell yourself short. I'm sure you did brilliantly. By the way, are we still on for lunch today?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to trying that new Thai place. I've heard it's a great spot to take in some authentic cuisine.
Yeah, and it'll be nice to wind up away from the office for a bit. A change of scenery is always good.
Couldn't agree more. Let's hope we don't get set back by a long wait. I hear it's popular.
We'll beat the lunch rush if we head out now. Ready to go?
Definitely. Let's turn this day around with some good food and a break from work.
Let's explore another set of phrasal verbs with some practical examples to help solidify your understanding, Sarah.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb we'll discuss is ask for. This is quite straightforward and means to request something. For example, if you're at a restaurant and you want more water, you might ask the waiter for a refill. It can also mean to provoke a response through one's actions, often used in a negative sense, like he's asking for trouble.
So, if I need help with homework, I can ask my teacher for assistance?
Exactly, Sarah. It's all about making a request. Next, we have beat up. This phrase typically means to physically attack someone, resulting in injury. It can also be used more informally to describe something that is very worn out or in poor condition, like, my old car is really beat up.
That's sad. I hope I never see anyone get beat up. But I understand the phrase now.
It's important to understand the context in which it's used. Now let's move on to call up. This can mean to phone someone, as in giving them a call. In another context, it can refer to summoning someone to a higher level of responsibility or duty, often used in military or professional sports contexts.
Like, if I'm called up to play for the varsity team instead of junior varsity?
Precisely, Sarah. It signifies a promotion or an elevation in status. Lastly, we have close down. This means to shut a facility or operation, often permanently. For example, if a store is not making enough money to cover its costs, it might have to close down.
So, if my favorite ice cream shop doesn't get enough business and shuts its doors forever, it's closed down?
That's correct, Sarah. It's a term often associated with businesses ending their operations. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're very common in English, and knowing how to use them can greatly enhance your communication skills. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot better about them, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help make them clear. I'll try to use them in my sentences.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Your willingness to learn and apply new concepts is commendable. Keep practicing and don't hesitate to experiment with these phrasal verbs in your conversations. Ready to tackle more in our next lesson?
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for making learning so interesting, Mr. Davis.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm makes teaching a joy. I'm looking forward to our next session together. Keep up the great work. Hey, Riley, you seem troubled. What's going on?
Oh, Sam, it's been a tough week. My old laptop finally gave out. I guess it was time to ask for a new one.
That's rough. But hey, a new laptop sounds exciting.
True, but my budget is a bit beat up after all the unexpected expenses last month.
I get that. Hey, why don't you call up that tech store downtown? They sometimes have great deals on electronics.
That's a good idea. I'll do that. Maybe I can find something affordable.
Definitely worth a try. Oh, did you hear about the Cozy Corner Cafe?
No, what about it?
They're going to close down next month. The owner is retiring.
Really? That's sad to hear. I've always loved their ambience and coffee.
Yeah, it's a big loss for our neighborhood, but I heard they might ask for community input on what should replace it.
That's an interesting approach. I hope something good takes its place.
Me too. Anyway, if you need any help deciding on the laptop, just call me up. I've been keeping up with the latest tech trends.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. It's tough when you have to close down an old chapter and start a new one, even if it's just a laptop.
It's all part of moving forward. Maybe this new laptop will open up more possibilities for you.
I hope so. I'll call up the store this afternoon and see what they have.
Let's dive into our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll give you scenarios for each to ensure you understand how to use them effectively.
Sounds great, Mr. Davis. I'm eager to learn more.
First, we have come about. This phrase is used to describe how a situation or event occurs or is brought into being. For instance, if someone asks how a decision was made, you might explain how it came about due to certain circumstances or discussions.
So, if someone asks how I became interested in art, I can talk about how it came about after visiting a museum?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about explaining the origin or cause of something. Next is cut through. This can literally mean to make a path through something by cutting, but it's often used figuratively to describe taking a shorter route or a more direct method to achieve something. For example, if you're walking to school and take a path that goes directly through the park instead of following the winding streets, you're cutting through the park.
That makes sense. I cut through the park all the time to get to my friend's house faster.
Perfect. You're using it correctly. Now, let's move on to do up. This phrase can mean to fasten something, like doing up a jacket or a pair of shoes. It can also refer to renovating or decorating a place, making it look nicer or more stylish.
So, when we redecorated my room last summer, we did it up with new paint and furniture?
Precisely. It's about improving or securing something. Lastly, we have drop out. This is used to describe leaving a school, course, or competition before completion. If someone stops attending college without graduating, they're said to have dropped out.
Like if someone decides college isn't for them and they leave to do something else, they dropped out.
Exactly, Sarah. It's about discontinuing participation in an ongoing activity or commitment. You've done an excellent job with these phrasal verbs. They can greatly enrich your ability to describe actions and decisions. How do you feel about using them now?
I feel much more confident, Mr. Davis. Your explanations and examples really help. I'm starting to see how these phrasal verbs fit into everyday conversation.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Your progress is impressive. Keep practicing, and soon using phrasal verbs will become second nature. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, I can't wait. Thank you for all your help, Mr. Davis.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is inspiring. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the great work.
Hey, Leo, how did your job interview go yesterday?
Hey, Mia. It was interesting. The opportunity actually came about through a casual conversation with a former colleague.
That's often how the best opportunities come about. So, are you excited about it?
I am, but it's a big change. I'd have to cut through a lot of red tape to transition into this new field.
Change can be good, though. It might be worth the effort to cut through the challenges.
True. How's your art project coming along?
Good, thanks. I'm almost done. Just need to do up the final touches on the painting.
I can't wait to see it. You always do up your work so beautifully.
Thanks, Leo. Oh, did you hear about Tara? She decided to drop out of her course.
Really? She was so enthusiastic about it. What made her drop out?
She felt it wasn't the right fit for her. Wants to explore different paths.
That makes sense. It's important to find what truly motivates you, even if it means having to drop out and start over.
Exactly. Life's too short to stick with something that doesn't make you happy.
Speaking of happy, let's do up some plans for the weekend. Maybe a hike or a visit to the art museum.
I'd love that. A hike would cut through the monotony of my usual weekend routine.
Great. Let's plan it out. Maybe we can come about some new ideas for your art while we're at it. All right, Sarah, let's tackle another set of phrasal verbs. I'll continue with practical examples to help you understand each one.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. Let's go.
First up is eat away. This phrase can be used literally, like when acid eats away at metal, meaning it gradually destroys or corrodes it. Figuratively, it can describe something consuming or diminishing something else over time, such as worries eating away at one's peace of mind.
So, if I say that the sea is eating away the coastline, it means it's slowly eroding it?
Exactly, Sarah. You've captured both the literal and figurative senses perfectly. Next, we have fall through. This is used to describe a plan or arrangement that fails to happen. For example, if you planned a trip with friends but it doesn't happen because of scheduling conflicts, the trip fell through.
That's disappointing. Like when the summer camp I wanted to attend was canceled, it fell through.
Right. It's often used to express disappointment about plans not materializing. Now, let's discuss get up. In its most basic sense, it means to rise from a lying or sitting position. However, it can also refer to the act of preparing or dressing oneself, or even starting the day.
So, in the morning, when I get out of bed and start getting ready for school, I'm getting up.
Precisely. It's about the action of rising and the process of starting your day. Lastly, lay off has a couple of different meanings. In a job context, it means to dismiss someone from their job, usually due to economic reasons rather than personal performance. It can also mean to stop bothering or to give someone a break.
Like if a company isn't doing well and has to reduce its number of employees, those employees are laid off?
That's correct, Sarah. It's a term often associated with job loss due to economic downturns or company restructuring. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They add depth to conversations by allowing you to express complex ideas succinctly. How do you feel about them?
Much better now, Mr. Davis. It's interesting to see how versatile English is with these phrasal verbs. Thanks for explaining them so clearly.
You're welcome, Sarah. I'm pleased to see your understanding deepen. Remember, practice is key, so try incorporating these phrasal verbs into your daily conversations. Ready for more learning?
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Your lessons make English really fun, Mr. Davis.
That's wonderful to hear, Sarah. Your eagerness to learn makes teaching very rewarding. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work.
This project is really starting to eat away at me. I didn't think it would be this challenging.
I know what you mean. These deadlines can really eat away at your peace of mind. What's the main issue?
Well, the funding we were expecting might fall through. If that happens, I don't know how we'll manage.
That's tough. It's always hard when plans fall through. But let's not lose hope yet. Sometimes things work out unexpectedly.
I hope you're right. By the way, did you hear about the layoffs in the design department?
Yeah, I did. It's unfortunate when the company has to lay off people. Everyone's a bit on edge now.
I can't imagine how hard it must be to get up and go to work, not knowing if your job is secure.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of strength to get up every day and face such uncertainty.
Speaking of which, we should probably get back up to our office. Can't afford to be seen lounging around too long these days.
Right. Before we go, just remember to lay off the stress a bit. You're doing great and worrying too much won't help.
Thanks, Tom. I'll try to lay off the worry. Let's hope for the best with the project.
That's the spirit. And if the funding does fall through, we'll figure something out. We always do. Let's dive into our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll explain each one with examples to ensure you understand how to use them effectively.
Sounds great. What's the first one?
The first one is act up. This usually means to behave badly or malfunction. For example, if a child is not following the rules and is being disruptive, you might say they're acting up. Similarly, if your computer starts to freeze or crash, you could say it's acting up.
So, if my phone keeps glitching, I can say it's acting up?
Exactly, Sarah. It's used both for people and machines. Next is add up. This phrase can mean to calculate the total of several numbers. It can also be used figuratively to mean that something makes sense or seems reasonable after considering all the facts. For instance, if you're trying to solve a mystery and all the clues lead to one conclusion, you might say it all adds up.
Like, if I find out two of my friends were planning a surprise party because I saw them whispering and then noticed decorations hidden away, I can say the evidence adds up?
Precisely. It's about things coming together coherently. Now let's look at ask around. This means to inquire of several people to obtain information. If you've lost your pet, for example, you might ask around the neighborhood to see if anyone has seen it.
So, if I want to find a good math tutor, I could ask around at school to get recommendations?
Right, Sarah. It's about leveraging the knowledge of a group to find information. Lastly, we have back off. This is used to tell someone to stop what they're doing or to give someone space. It's often used when someone is being too aggressive or intrusive. For example, if someone is asking too personal questions, you might tell them to back off.
Like, if someone keeps pestering me to lend them my notes and I want them to stop, I can say back off?
Exactly, Sarah. It's a way to assert boundaries. You've done an excellent job grasping these phrasal verbs. They're very useful in everyday conversation for expressing a wide range of actions and responses. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more confident about using them, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help make them clear. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. I'm glad to see your confidence growing. Practice using them in your conversations, and soon they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, I can't wait. Your lessons are always so helpful and fun, Mr. Davis.
That's great to hear, Sarah. Your enthusiasm for learning is truly inspiring. I look forward to our next session together. Keep up the great work.
Hey, Ben, you look a bit frustrated. What's going on?
Oh, it's my car. It's starting to act up again. I think there might be something wrong with the engine.
That's annoying. Have you had it checked out?
Yeah, but the mechanic's quotes just don't add up. I feel like they're overcharging me.
Maybe you should ask around for a reliable mechanic. I know a few people who might have some recommendations.
That's a good idea. I'll ask around at work tomorrow. How's your new yoga class going?
Well, it's good, but there's this one guy in the class who's always trying to correct my poses, even though he's not the instructor.
That sounds pretty annoying. Have you talked to him about it?
I've tried hinting, but he doesn't seem to get it. I might have to be more direct and tell him to back off.
Sometimes being direct is the best way. It's important to stand up for yourself.
You're right. I'll talk to him next class. Changing subjects, did you ever add up the cost for our camping trip next month?
I did, and everything seems within our budget. But I'll double-check the numbers to make sure nothing acts up with our planning.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be nice to back off from work and enjoy nature.
Absolutely. A break is exactly what we need. And don't worry, I'll make sure the car won't act up on our trip. Let's move on to another interesting set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll give you some scenarios to help you understand how to use each one.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first phrasal verb?
The first one is bail out. This can mean to rescue someone from a difficult situation, often financially. For example, if a company is failing and another entity provides the money needed to save it, they are bailing the company out. It can also mean literally to exit a vehicle, such as a plane, in an emergency.
So, if my friend pays for my lunch when I forget my wallet, are they bailing me out?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about providing help in a tough spot. Next, we have blow up. This phrase has several meanings. It can mean to explode or to inflate something like a balloon. Figuratively, it can describe someone becoming very angry suddenly, as in, he blew up when he heard the news.
That makes sense. Like, when a story becomes really popular quickly, can you also say it blew up online?
Precisely. It's a versatile phrase that can apply to both physical and metaphorical situations. Now, let's talk about break down. This can refer to something mechanical failing to function, like a car stopping working. It can also mean to divide something into parts to analyze it, or it can describe someone becoming emotional and starting to cry.
So, if I'm explaining a complex topic and I simplify it into easier parts, am I breaking it down?
Exactly, Sarah. It's all about making something more understandable. Lastly, we have bring up. This means to mention or introduce a topic in conversation. It can also mean to raise a child, referring to the process of upbringing.
Like, if I start talking about plans for the weekend with my family, am I bringing it up?
Right, Sarah. It's about initiating a topic of discussion. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're crucial for expressing a wide range of actions and ideas in English. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much better about them, Mr. Davis. These examples help me see how I can use them in different situations. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. I'm pleased to see your progress. Practice using them in your daily conversations and they'll become even more familiar. Ready to explore more in our next lesson?
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Your lessons really help me improve, Mr. Davis.
That's wonderful to hear, Sarah. Your enthusiasm and willingness to learn make teaching a joy. I'm excited for our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work.
David, have you heard about the drama at Lisa's birthday party?
No, I haven't. Did something happen?
It was about to blow up. Her brother and his girlfriend had a huge argument right in the middle of it.
Wow, that must have been intense. Did they manage to bail out of the situation?
Yeah, Lisa had to step in and bail out her brother. She calmed them down before things got out of hand.
Good for her. Changing the topic, did you talk to your landlord about the heating issue?
I tried to bring it up, but every time I do, he changes the subject.
That's frustrating. You really need to bring up the issue firmly. It's getting colder.
I know, I will. Oh, by the way, how did your road trip go?
It started great, but then my car broke down halfway. We were stranded for hours.
That's terrible. What did you do?
Luckily, we were able to bail out the situation. A local mechanic passed by and helped us out.
That's lucky indeed. I'm glad it didn't completely blow up your trip.
Me too. But next time, I need to make sure my car is in better shape to avoid breaking down.
Definitely a good idea. It's never fun to have plans break down like that.
Agreed. Anyway, I'm glad we could catch up. It's been too long since we brought up all these stories. Let's continue with our exploration of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide some scenarios for each to ensure you grasp their meanings and uses.
Perfect, Mr. Davis. I'm ready to learn more.
First, we have call off. This means to cancel something that was planned. For instance, if you planned a picnic but it starts raining, you might decide to call off the picnic. It's a way to say that the event or action is no longer going to happen as scheduled.
So, if a game is canceled because of bad weather, it's been called off?
Exactly, Sarah. Next up is calm down. This is used to describe becoming less upset, angry, or excited. It can be something you tell someone who is feeling agitated, as in, please calm down, everything will be okay. Or it can describe someone managing to become more relaxed after being upset.
Like after I was nervous about my presentation, but then took a few deep breaths to calm down?
Precisely. It's about regaining your composure. Now let's look at carry on. This means to continue doing something or to proceed. It can be used in the face of adversity, as in, despite the difficulties they carried on, or simply to mean keep doing what you're doing, as in, carry on with your work.
So, if my team keeps playing even when we're losing, we're carrying on?
That's right, Sarah. It's about persistence. Lastly, we have catch up. This can mean to reach someone who is ahead by increasing your own speed or effort. It can also refer to updating someone with the latest news or spending time with someone to learn about what has been happening in their life.
Like if I haven't seen a friend in a long time and we meet to talk about everything we've missed, we're catching up?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about bridging the gap, whether it's in distance, progress, or information. You've done an excellent job with these phrasal verbs. Understanding them adds depth to your ability to express complex ideas in English. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more confident, Mr. Davis. Your explanations make them really clear. I can see how they're useful in everyday conversation.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Your progress is impressive. Keep practicing, and these phrasal verbs will become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, please. I'm enjoying these lessons a lot. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Davis.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm makes teaching a pleasure. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the great work. Hey, Sophie, I heard the weekend hiking trip got called off.
Yeah, the weather turned bad. We had to call it off for safety reasons.
That's a bummer. You were really looking forward to it.
I was, but there's no point in getting upset over it. I just took a deep breath and calmed down. We can always plan it again.
That's a good attitude to have. Speaking of plans, how's your new job going?
It's going well. The first week was hectic, but I'm starting to catch up with all the work.
I'm glad to hear you're catching up. Just don't overdo it.
I won't. By the way, how's your photography class? Are you still enjoying it?
Absolutely, I'm carrying on with it. It's challenging, but really rewarding.
That's great to hear. It's important to carry on with what you love.
Definitely. And speaking of photography, I was hoping to catch up with you and show you some of my recent shots. Maybe give me some feedback.
I'd love that. Let's catch up over coffee this weekend. I can't wait to see your work.
It's a plan. And hey, next time your hiking trip gets called off, maybe you can calm down by joining one of my photo walks.
That sounds like a perfect plan B. I'll definitely take you up on that offer.
Let's tackle our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll give you scenarios for each to help you understand their application.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's first?
First up is check in. This phrase can be used in several contexts. In the context of travel, it means to register your arrival at a hotel or an airport. For example, when you arrive at a hotel, you go to the reception desk to check in. It can also mean to make contact with someone to ensure they are okay or to update them on a situation.
So, if I call my mom after arriving at a friend's house for a sleepover, I'm checking in with her?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about confirming your status or location. Next, we have cheer up. This means to become happier or to make someone feel happier. For instance, if your friend is feeling sad, you might tell them a joke or take them out for ice cream to cheer them up.
Like when my dog does something funny, it cheers me up if I'm having a bad day.
Precisely. It's all about lifting spirits. Now let's discuss chip in. This phrase is used when individuals contribute to a collective effort or pool resources together. It could be contributing money for a group gift or helping out with a task. For example, if everyone at the office chips in, you can buy a nicer retirement gift for a coworker.
So, if my friends and I put our money together to buy pizza, we're chipping in for dinner?
That's right, Sarah. It's about everyone contributing a little to achieve a common goal. Lastly, we have clean up. This can mean to tidy or organize a space, removing dirt or mess. It can also refer to making a large profit or solving a problem thoroughly. For instance, after a party, you might have to clean up the house.
Or if I organize my desk and get rid of all the clutter, I'm cleaning up my workspace.
Exactly, Sarah. It's about restoring order or enhancing a situation. You've done a fantastic job grasping these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful for expressing a variety of actions and contributions in conversation. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much more comfortable with them now, Mr. Davis. Your examples always make things clearer. Thanks.
You're welcome, Sarah. I'm here to help you navigate the complexities of English. Your willingness to learn and apply what you've learned is commendable. Keep practicing, and these phrases will become second nature, ready to continue our exploration.
Yes, I can't wait for more lessons, Mr. Davis. I'm learning so much from you.
That's wonderful to hear, Sarah. Your enthusiasm for learning is truly inspiring. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the excellent work. Hey, Angela, just wanted to check in with you about the team meeting next week. Are you prepared?
Hi, Mike. Yes, I've got everything under control. Thanks for checking in. How's your day going?
It's been all right. I heard you were feeling a bit down yesterday. Hope you're feeling cheered up today.
Yeah, I'm better now. A good night's sleep really cheered me up. What about you? Any plans for the weekend?
Actually, I'm organizing a beach cleanup with some friends. We're trying to clean up the shoreline. It's gotten pretty cluttered lately.
That's a great initiative. I'd love to chip in. How can I join?
That would be fantastic. We're meeting at the beach entrance at 10 a.m. on Saturday. Just bring yourself. We have extra gloves and bags.
Count me in. It feels good to chip in and do something positive for the environment.
Definitely. It's amazing how a little effort can clean up a place so nicely. Plus, it's always more fun with more hands on deck.
Agreed. Oh, and regarding the team meeting, I've prepared a brief on our project's progress. Thought it might cheer up the team to see how far we've come.
That's a brilliant idea. A bit of positive news can really cheer everyone up. Great thinking, Angela.
Thanks, Mike. I believe it's important to keep the morale high. And I'm looking forward to the beach cleanup on Saturday.
Let's move on to our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll continue with practical examples to make sure you understand how to use each one effectively.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is come across. This means to find something or someone by chance. For example, if you're walking through a park and you find a rare flower you weren't looking for, you've come across it. It can also refer to the way someone appears to others, as in, he comes across as very confident.
So, if I stumble upon an old photo album in the attic I didn't know was there, I've come across it?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about encountering something unexpectedly. Next is come back. This phrase is used to describe returning to a place or a situation. It can also mean to return to one's mind, as in remembering something. For instance, if you leave home for college and then return after your studies, you've come back home.
And if I finally remember where I left my keys after thinking about it for a while, can I say the memory came back to me?
Precisely. It's about the act of returning or recalling. Now, let's discuss cool off. This can mean to become cooler in temperature, but it's often used to describe someone calming down after being angry or upset. For example, if you have an argument with a friend and take some time apart to calm down, you're cooling off.
Like after running around outside on a hot day, I might cool off with a cold drink?
Exactly, Sarah. It applies to both physical and emotional cooling. Lastly, we have cut back. This means to reduce the amount or number of something. It's often used in the context of budgeting or dieting. For example, if you're spending too much money on eating out, you might decide to cut back on your restaurant visits.
So, if I'm eating too much sugar and I start having less of it, I'm cutting back on sugar?
That's right, Sarah. It's about reducing consumption or frequency for health or financial reasons. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're very useful for describing actions and decisions in everyday life. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot better about them, Mr. Davis. It's interesting to see how many different situations they can apply to. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. I'm glad to see your confidence growing. Practice using these phrasal verbs in your conversations, and they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more learning adventures?
Yes, I am. I always look forward to our lessons, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and I'm excited to continue our journey through the English language. Let's keep up the great work.
Max, you'll never believe what I came across in the antique shop yesterday.
Oh, what did you come across?
An old vinyl record of the Beatles, in perfect condition. It was like finding hidden treasure.
That's an amazing find. Speaking of the Beatles, are you still planning your trip to Liverpool?
Yes, I'm hoping to come back with some unique memorabilia. I've always wanted to visit their hometown.
It sounds like a fantastic trip. I can't wait for you to come back and share your experiences.
Definitely. But I had to cut back on some expenses to save up for it.
Smart move. I've been trying to cut back on eating out too much. It's not easy, but my wallet is thankful.
It's all about priorities, isn't it? By the way, how did your sister's outdoor wedding go last weekend?
It was a beautiful ceremony, but the heat was intense. We all needed to cool off after standing in the sun for so long.
I can imagine. It's important to find ways to cool off in this summer heat.
Absolutely. They had these little handheld fans for guests, which helped.
That's a thoughtful touch. So, are you ready to come back to our jogging routine tomorrow morning?
Yes, I'm ready to get back into it. Taking a break was nice, but it's time to come back to some healthy habits.
Great! And maybe after our run, we can cool off with a smoothie at that new cafe downtown.
Sounds like a plan. It'll be a nice treat, especially since we've both been trying to cut back on indulgences. Let's dive into another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. As always, I'll provide scenarios for each to ensure you fully understand their usage.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. Let's start with the first one.
The first phrasal verb is deal with. This means to take action to handle or address a problem, situation, or person. For instance, if your bike tire is flat, you'll need to deal with it by either fixing the tire yourself or taking it to a shop for repair. It can also mean to manage or endure a difficult situation or person.
So, if I have a lot of homework, I need to deal with it by setting aside time to complete it?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about confronting and managing a situation. Next, we have drop off. This can mean to decrease suddenly or to deliver someone or something to a specific location and then leave. For example, if you're giving a friend a ride to the airport, you drop them off at the departure terminal.
Like when my mom drives me to school in the morning, she drops me off before heading to work?
Precisely. It's about leaving someone or something at a destination. Now, let's talk about eat out. This means to have a meal in a restaurant instead of at home. If you decide to go to a restaurant for dinner rather than cook, you're choosing to eat out.
So, if my family decides we don't want to cook tonight and go to our favorite pizza place, we're eating out?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about dining away from home. Lastly, we have end up. This phrase is used to describe the final state, position, or situation of something after a series of events. For example, if you start the day planning to stay home, but a friend invites you on an unexpected adventure and you agree, you might end up at the beach instead.
So, if I start reading a book and get really into it, I might end up finishing it in one day?
That's right, Sarah. It's about where or how something concludes, often in a way that wasn't planned from the beginning. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're crucial for expressing a wide range of activities and outcomes. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much more confident, Mr. Davis. Your examples make them really clear. I can see how they're used in everyday situations.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Your ability to grasp and apply these concepts is impressive. Keep practicing and they'll become second nature to you. Ready for our next lesson?
Yes, I am. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Davis. I'm learning so much.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm for learning is what makes teaching so rewarding. I look forward to our next session together. Keep up the fantastic work.
Eric, how do you manage to stay so calm when dealing with difficult clients?
It's all about patience, Sarah. Dealing with challenging situations is part of the job after all.
I need to learn from you. By the way, are you still planning to drop off those documents at the client's office today?
Yes, I'll drop them off right after lunch. It's on my way.
That's convenient. Hey, speaking of lunch, do you want to eat out today? There's a new sushi place that opened nearby.
Sounds great. I love sushi, and it's nice to eat out and get away from the office for a bit.
Agreed. Changing the topic, did you hear about Linda from accounting? She ended up taking that job offer in Paris.
Really? I knew she was considering it, but I didn't know she'd actually end up going. That's a big move.
It is. She's always wanted to work abroad, though. Sometimes you just have to follow your dreams.
Absolutely. It's inspiring to see someone end up where they've always wanted to be.
Definitely. I sometimes wonder where I'll end up in a few years. Hopefully doing something I love.
With your skills, I'm sure you'll end up somewhere great. Oh, it's almost time to drop off those documents. Shall we head out for lunch?
Yes, let's go. A good meal will help us deal with the rest of the day's challenges.
Let's continue our exploration of phrasal verbs with another set, Sarah. I'll provide detailed examples to help you understand each one.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first phrasal verb?
The first one is fall apart. This phrase can be used both literally and figuratively. Literally, it means to break into pieces because of poor condition, like an old book whose binding is failing might fall apart. Figuratively, it can describe a situation or plan that fails to hold together, or when someone becomes very upset and can't maintain their composure.
So, if my plans for a weekend trip don't work out because my friends cancel, can I say my plans fell apart?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about things disintegrating or failing to proceed as expected. Next, we have figure out. This means to solve a problem, understand something, or find a solution. For instance, if you're working on a difficult math problem and you finally understand how to solve it, you figured it out.
Like when I learn how to use a new app on my phone by playing around with it, I'm figuring it out.
Precisely. It's all about coming to an understanding or solution. Now let's discuss fill in. This can mean to provide missing information or details, like filling in a form or completing a report. It can also mean to temporarily take someone's place, as in covering for someone at work.
So, if my teacher asks me to fill in the blanks on a worksheet, I'm adding the missing words or information.
That's right, Sarah. It's about completing what's incomplete. Lastly, we have find out. This refers to discovering information, learning something new, or uncovering a fact. For example, if you hear a rumor and then look up the information to see if it's true, you're finding out the truth.
Like if I hear a new movie is coming out and then I search online to see when it's released, I'm finding out its release date?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about discovering or verifying information. You've done an excellent job with these phrasal verbs. They're key for expressing discovery, understanding, and the state of things. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help me see how I can use them in conversations and writing.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice using them and soon they'll be a natural part of your language skills. Ready to learn more?
Yes, I am. Thanks for making these lessons so interesting, Mr. Davis.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm and willingness to learn make teaching a joy. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the great work. Hey, Taylor, you seem a bit down. What's going on?
Oh, Jordan, my plans for the weekend just completely fell apart. The concert I was looking forward to got canceled.
That's a bummer. It's tough when things fall apart like that. Anything I can do to help?
Thanks, but I'm trying to figure out an alternative plan. Maybe a quiet weekend at home.
Figuring out a backup plan is always good. By the way, did you manage to fill in for Laura at the office while she was on vacation?
Yes, I did. There was a lot to fill in, but I managed. It was actually quite a learning experience.
I'm sure it was. You always handle new challenges well. Speaking of work, did you find out about the promotion you applied for?
Not yet. I'm supposed to find out by the end of next week. Fingers crossed.
I'm rooting for you. It would be great if you got it, especially after how things fell apart with your weekend plans.
Thanks, I really appreciate it. Enough about me, though. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been trying to figure out some new recipes. Cooking has become my new hobby.
That sounds fun. Maybe you can fill me in on some of your favorite recipes. I'd love to try them.
Absolutely. I'll find out which ones are the easiest for beginners and send them your way.
That would be amazing. Thanks, Jordan.
Let's dive into another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide examples for each to help you understand their usage in different contexts.
Sounds good, Mr. Davis. I'm eager to learn more.
First up, we have get along. This means to have a harmonious or friendly relationship with someone. For instance, if you and your classmates work well together and enjoy each other's company, you can say you get along with them.
So, if my brother and I don't fight and like spending time together, it means we get along?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about having a good relationship. Next is get away. This can mean to escape from a place or situation, often to take a break or vacation. For example, if you're feeling stressed and decide to spend a weekend at the beach, you're getting away from it all.
Like when someone says they need to get away for a while, they mean they need a vacation or a break.
Precisely. It's about taking a break from your usual environment or routine. Now let's look at get back. This phrase has several uses, but commonly it means to return to a place or to return something to its original location. If you borrow a book from a friend and then give it back to them, you're getting the book back to them.
And if I go on a trip and then come home, I'm getting back home?
That's right, Sarah. It's about returning to where you started. Lastly, we have get in. This usually means to enter a place, such as a car or a building. For example, when you arrive at school and go inside the building, you're getting in school.
So, when it starts raining and I run inside the house, I'm getting in to avoid getting wet?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about entering somewhere. You've done an excellent job with these phrasal verbs. They're very common in everyday English and can describe a wide range of actions and situations. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot better about them, Mr. Davis. Your examples make them easy to understand. I'll try to use them in my sentences.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice makes perfect. Keep using them and they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, please. I enjoy learning with you, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is inspiring. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the great work. Hey, Alex, it's been a while. How have you been?
Hi, Chris. I've been good, just busy with work. How about you? How's the new job?
It's going great. The team is fantastic, and I get along with everyone really well.
That's awesome to hear. It's so important to get along with your coworkers.
Absolutely. Are you still planning that hiking trip to get away for a bit?
Yes, I'm heading out next weekend. I really need to get away from the city and unwind.
That sounds like a much-needed break. Remember to get back to me with some pictures.
Will do. Speaking of breaks, did you get back from your business trip to New York?
Yes, I just got back last night. It was a whirlwind of meetings and networking.
Sounds hectic. Did you manage to get in some sightseeing at least?
Not really, there wasn't much time to get in any tourist activities. It was all business.
Maybe next time then. By the way, I was trying to get in touch with you last week about the alumni reunion. Did you get my message?
Oh, I must have missed it. I've been meaning to get back to you. I'm definitely interested in the reunion.
Great. I'll get back to you with the details then.
Sounds good. And let me know if you need any tips for your hiking trip.
Will do, thanks. It's always good catching up with you.
Let's tackle another group of phrasal verbs. As always, I'll explain each one with examples to help you understand and remember how to use them.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is get over. It's used to describe the process of recovering from something, like an illness or a difficult emotional experience. For example, if you were sick with the flu and now you're feeling better, you've gotten over the flu. It can also mean to overcome an obstacle or challenge.
So, if I was upset about not making the soccer team, but now I'm okay, I've gotten over it?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about moving past something difficult. Next, we have give back. This means to return something to its owner. For instance, if you borrowed a book from a friend and then you return it, you're giving it back. It can also refer to contributing or doing something positive for the community or someone else as a way of showing gratitude.
Like when I volunteer at the community garden, am I giving back to my community?
Precisely, Sarah. It's about returning or contributing something positively. Now let's discuss give in. This phrase means to reluctantly agree to something after resisting or opposing it. For example, if you didn't want to go to a family gathering but eventually agree to go after your family insists, you've given in to their wishes.
So, if I stop arguing with my brother about which movie to watch and let him choose, I'm giving in?
That's right, Sarah. It's about conceding or yielding in a situation. Lastly, we have give up. This means to stop trying to do something because you believe it will not be successful. For instance, if you're trying to solve a difficult puzzle and decide to stop because it seems impossible, you're giving up on solving it. It can also mean to quit a habit.
If I decide to stop eating junk food for my health, am I giving up junk food?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about ceasing to do something or stopping an effort. You've done an excellent job grasping these phrasal verbs. They're commonly used to express actions related to overcoming, returning, and relinquishing. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much more confident, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help make them clear. I'll practice using them more.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice is key to mastering these expressions. Keep up the good work and don't hesitate to use these phrasal verbs in your daily conversations. Ready to explore more?
Yes, I am. Thanks for being such a great teacher, Mr. Davis.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your willingness to learn makes teaching very rewarding. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work.
Hey, Ryan, how are you holding up since the breakup?
Hey, Emma. It's been tough, but I'm slowly starting to get over it. Each day gets a little easier.
I'm glad to hear you're getting over it. Time really does help. By the way, did you ever give back Jessica's books?
Yes, I gave them back last week. It was a bit awkward, but it needed to be done.
That's good. Closure is important. Oh, have you decided about the job offer in Boston?
I'm still thinking about it. Part of me wants to give in to the adventure, but it's a big move.
Sometimes, giving in to new opportunities can be the best decision. Don't be afraid to take a leap.
True. Speaking of decisions, did you give up on your pottery classes?
Actually, no. I was close to giving up because I wasn't making much progress, but I decided to stick with it.
That's great. It's important not to give up on something you enjoy, even if it's challenging.
Exactly. It's all about persistence. And speaking of not giving up, you shouldn't give up on finding happiness, whether in Boston or here.
Thanks, Emma. I appreciate the encouragement. I guess it's all about not giving in to fear, right?
Absolutely. And remember, I'm here for you, whether you give back books, give up pottery, or get over heartaches.
Thanks, sis. That means a lot. Let's dive into our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll continue with practical examples to ensure you grasp their application.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's first?
The first one is go ahead. This phrase is used to give someone permission to start something or to proceed with an action. For example, if you're at a meeting and want to present your idea, you might wait for your boss to say, "Go ahead," before you begin speaking. It can also mean to move forward with a plan or action independently.
So, if my friend asks if they can borrow a book and I say go ahead, I'm telling them it's okay to take it?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about giving permission or encouragement to proceed. Next, we have go on. This can mean to continue or to happen. For instance, if you're telling a story and someone interrupts you, you might say, "Sorry, please go on," encouraging them to continue. It can also refer to something that's happening, like when you ask, "What's going on here?"
Like if a movie is too long but keeps playing, it goes on for a while?
Precisely. It's about the continuation of an action or event. Now, let's discuss grow up. This phrase is used to describe the process of becoming older or more mature. It often refers to the physical, emotional, and intellectual development from childhood to adulthood. Saying, "I want to be a doctor when I grow up," reflects future aspirations based on this process.
And if someone is being immature, telling them to grow up is like saying they should act more maturely?
That's right, Sarah. It's about maturing or acting in a manner that's expected of someone your age. Lastly, we have hang out. This means to spend time in a relaxed manner with friends or family, usually without any specific plan or purpose. For example, if you're going to the park with friends just to chat and have fun, you're hanging out.
So, if my friends and I just sit around talking after school, we're hanging out together?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about leisurely spending time with others. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful for everyday conversations, describing actions, permissions, and social interactions. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help me understand how to use them. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. I'm glad to see your confidence growing. Keep practicing, and soon these phrasal verbs will become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, please. I'm looking forward to learning even more, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is inspiring. I'm excited for our next session together. Keep up the great work.
Hey, Marco, are we still on for the movie tonight?
Yeah, go ahead and book the tickets. I can't wait to see it.
Great. I'll go ahead and get them now. Do you want to grab dinner before the movie?
Sure, that sounds good. What do you feel like eating?
How about Italian? There's that new place that just opened up.
Italian sounds perfect. Let's go on there around 6.
Sounds like a plan. So, how have things been going on at work?
Busy as usual. But you know, same old, same old. How about you? How's the photography class going on?
It's great. I'm learning a lot. Photography is something I've wanted to pursue since I grew up.
Yeah, I remember you always had a camera with you growing up. It's cool you're finally doing this.
Thanks, Marco. It's never too late to chase a childhood passion, right?
Absolutely. Speaking of childhood, do you remember how we used to hang out at the old playground near your house?
Of course I do. We spent so many afternoons there just hanging out and having fun.
Those were the days. Maybe we should go on a nostalgia trip and visit it again sometime.
That would be a lot of fun. Let's plan for it. But for now, I'm looking forward to hanging out tonight.
Me too. See you later then. Let's explore another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide detailed explanations and examples for each to enhance your understanding.
Ready when you are, Mr. Davis.
Excellent. First, we have hang up. Traditionally, this phrase refers to ending a telephone call by placing the receiver back on its cradle or pressing the end call button on a mobile phone. In a broader sense, it can also mean to cease any ongoing communication or activity abruptly.
So, if I finish a call with my friend and then press the red button on my phone, I've hung up?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about concluding a call. Next is hold on. This can have a few meanings, but it often means to wait or pause for a short period. It's something you might say if you need a moment to gather information or catch your breath. Hold on can also mean to physically grip something tightly.
Like if someone's about to tell me something important over the phone and I ask them to hold on while I find a pen?
Precisely, Sarah. It's about asking for a brief pause. Now let's discuss keep on. This phrase means to continue doing something without interruption. It can refer to persisting in an action or behavior, often despite challenges, or to emphasize the action's ongoing nature.
So, if I'm practicing piano every day to get better, I'm keeping on with my practice?
That's right, Sarah. It's about persistence and continuation. Lastly, we have kick out. This means to forcibly remove someone from a place or institution, often because of their behavior. It can be used in various contexts, like someone being removed from a club for breaking the rules or a student being expelled from school.
Like if someone causes trouble at a party and the host asks them to leave, they're being kicked out.
Exactly, Sarah. It's about expulsion or removal due to misconduct. You've done a great job grasping these phrasal verbs. They're essential for expressing a range of actions and responses in conversation. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much more confident, Mr. Davis. Your explanations make them really clear. I'll try to use them in sentences.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice is key to mastering these expressions. Keep using them, and they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, I am. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Davis. I'm learning a lot.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your willingness to learn makes teaching a pleasure. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the great work.
Dylan, you won't believe what happened at the library today.
What happened?
So, I was in the middle of a phone call when the librarian asked me to hang up because it was too loud.
Oh man, that's embarrassing. Did you hang up right away?
Yeah, I had to. I stepped outside to finish the call. Anyway, are we still going to that concert tonight?
Actually, about that, hold on. Let me check my messages. I think the lead singer might be sick.
Oh no, really? Hold on, does that mean the concert might be canceled?
Not sure yet. I'm holding on for a confirmation. Changing topics. How's your painting hobby going?
It's good. I keep on trying new techniques. It's really therapeutic.
That's great. You should keep on doing what you love. It's important.
Absolutely. Oh, did you hear about Jake? He got kicked out of his apartment.
What? Why did he get kicked out?
His landlord found out he had a pet, which was against his lease terms.
That's rough. Finding a new place on short notice is tough.
Yeah, he's staying with a friend for now. Speaking of tough situations, did you ever resolve that issue with your coworker?
Sort of. I decided to just keep on being professional and avoid any drama.
Good approach. Sometimes it's best to just keep on going and not get too involved.
Exactly. Let's hope tonight's concert doesn't get kicked out of the schedule. I'll let you know as soon as I find out.
Thanks, Dylan. I guess we'll just hold on and see what happens.
Let's tackle another group of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide scenarios for each to ensure you understand their usage and can apply them effectively.
I'm ready to learn, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful. First, we have knockout. This phrase can be used literally, such as in a boxing match where one fighter renders another unconscious. Figuratively, it can mean to impress or overwhelm someone greatly, or to complete a task efficiently and effectively.
So, if I see a performance that's so amazing it leaves me speechless, can I say I was knocked out by it?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about having a strong impact on someone or something. Next is lay off. In the context of employment, it refers to temporarily or permanently ending someone's job, often due to economic reasons and not personal performance. It can also mean to stop doing something, usually as a piece of advice to cease a harmful or annoying habit.
Like if a company has to let go of some employees because it's not making enough money, those employees are being laid off.
Precisely. It's an unfortunate situation where workers are dismissed for reasons beyond their control. Now let's move on to let down. This means to disappoint someone by failing to meet their expectations or not fulfilling a commitment. It can also refer to lowering something physically, like letting down a rope.
So, if I promise to help my friend with their project but forget to show up, I've let them down?
That's right, Sarah. It's about failing to uphold a promise or expectation. Lastly, we have look after. This means to take care of someone or something, ensuring their well-being. It often involves responsibility for a person, pet, or property in someone's absence.
If my neighbors are on vacation and I water their plants, I'm looking after their house?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about caring for someone or something. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful in everyday conversations, expressing a range of actions and responsibilities. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot better about them, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help make them clear. I'll practice using them.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will indeed make perfect. Keep up the good work and don't hesitate to use these phrasal verbs in your conversations. Ready to continue our journey with more lessons?
Yes, please. I'm enjoying these lessons a lot, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is truly inspiring. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work.
Hey, Max, did you watch the boxing match last night? That final round was intense.
I did. I couldn't believe it when Martinez was knocked out. It was a total surprise.
Yeah, that punch was a real knockout. Changing topics? How are you handling the new project manager role?
It's been challenging. The team's morale is low since the company had to lay off some employees last week.
I heard about that. It's tough when the company has to lay off people. It affects everyone.
Definitely. I just hope I don't let down the team. I want to support them as best I can.
You're doing a great job. Don't worry about letting anyone down. By the way, how's your mom doing?
She's getting better, thanks for asking. My sister has been looking after her since her surgery.
That's good to hear. It's important to have someone to look after family when they're not well.
Absolutely. It's been a huge relief knowing she's in good hands. And how about you? How are the wedding plans coming along?
Well, it's a bit overwhelming. There's so much to do, and I'm afraid of letting down my fiancé with all the choices.
Just take it one step at a time. Remember, it's your day, so don't worry about letting anyone down. It will be perfect.
Thanks, Max. I appreciate that. And hey, if you need any help or someone to talk to about the layoffs, I'm here.
Thanks, Jenna. I might just take you up on that. It's good to have someone to talk to when you're knocked out by work stress. Let's dive into another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll give you examples for each to ensure you grasp their meanings and uses.
Sounds great, Mr. Davis. What's first?
The first one is look into. This phrase means to investigate or research something more deeply. For instance, if there's a problem with the internet at home, you might say, I'll look into the issue to find out what's wrong. It's about trying to understand or solve something by examining it closely.
So, if I hear about a new art class and want to know more, I can say I'm going to look into it.
Exactly, Sarah. It's about seeking more information. Next, we have make up. This phrasal verb has several meanings, including to reconcile after a disagreement, to invent a story or an excuse, and to complete something that was missed, like making up a test in school.
If I miss a day of school and have to take the test later, I'm making up the test?
Precisely. It's about compensating for something that was missed. Now, let's move on to move in. This is used to describe the act of starting to live in a new home. For example, when you bring all your belongings into a new house or apartment and start living there, you're moving in.
Like when my family got the keys to our new house and brought all our stuff inside, we were moving in?
That's right, Sarah. It's the process of settling into a new residence. Lastly, we have move out. This means to leave a place where you've been living. It involves taking all your belongings and vacating the space so someone else can live there.
So, when I go to college and take my things to the dorm, leaving my parents' house, I'll be moving out?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about leaving one living situation for another. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're very useful for discussing actions related to investigation, reconciliation, and changes in living situations. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your examples make them easy to understand. I can see how they're used in real life.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice using them and they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more learning?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Davis. I'm looking forward to our next lesson.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your eagerness to learn is commendable. I'm excited for our next session together. Keep up the great work.
Noah, did you ever look into that photography course you mentioned last time?
Yeah, I looked into it, and it looks fantastic. I'm thinking of signing up for it next month.
That's great. Photography has always been your passion. It's good you're making time for it.
Absolutely. By the way, how are things with you and Emily? I heard you two had a disagreement.
We did, but we made up. It was just a misunderstanding about our vacation plans.
Glad to hear you made up. It's normal for couples to have little disagreements now and then.
True. Speaking of changes, didn't you say you were planning to move out of your apartment?
Yes, I'm moving out next week. The place just isn't right for me anymore. Too small and noisy.
I remember you mentioning that. Do you have a new place lined up?
I do. I'm moving into a quieter neighborhood. It's closer to the park, so it'll be great for morning runs.
That sounds perfect for you. Moving into a new place can be such an exciting fresh start.
Definitely. It's a bit stressful with all the packing and organizing, but it'll be worth it.
If you need any help with the move, or just someone to look into moving companies, let me know.
Thanks, Clara. I might take you up on that offer. It's a lot to handle, especially when you're moving out for the first time in years.
Anytime. It's what friends are for. And I can't wait to see your new place once you've moved in.
Let's explore another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll give you clear examples for each to help solidify your understanding.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is pass out. This can mean to lose consciousness or faint. For example, if someone becomes overwhelmed by heat and falls unconscious, they've passed out. It can also refer to distributing items to a group of people, like when a teacher hands out exams to students.
So, if I distribute flyers for a school event, I'm passing them out?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about distribution or losing consciousness depending on the context. Next, we have payback. This phrase is often used to describe returning money that you owe to someone. It can also mean to retaliate or take revenge for a previous action.
Like if I borrow money from a friend and then give it back to them later, I'm paying them back?
Precisely. It's about settling a debt or, figuratively, settling a score. Now let's discuss pick up. This phrasal verb has several meanings, including to physically lift something off a surface, to learn something new gradually, and to collect someone or something from a place. For instance, if you're learning a new language by practicing a little every day, you're picking it up.
And if my mom drives me home from school, she's picking me up?
That's right, Sarah. It's a versatile phrase with various applications. Lastly, we have pull in. In one sense, it refers to a vehicle arriving and stopping at a destination, like when a train arrives at the station. It can also mean to attract or earn, such as when a business pulls in profits.
So, if a movie attracts a lot of viewers, can we say it's pulling them in?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about drawing interest or arriving at a place. You've done an excellent job with these phrasal verbs. They're important for expressing a wide range of actions and interactions. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much better about them, Mr. Davis. Your examples are really helpful. I'll practice using them.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will indeed make perfect. Keep using them and soon they'll become a natural part of your language skills. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, please. I'm learning so much from you, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your willingness to learn makes teaching a joy. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the great work.
Ethan, do you remember when you borrowed my camera last month? When can you pay me back for the repair costs?
I haven't forgotten, Grace. I'll pay you back next payday. Sorry for the delay.
It's okay. I just wanted to make sure. Oh, did you hear about the marathon last weekend?
No. What happened?
A few runners passed out from the heat. It was really intense.
That's serious. I hope they're okay. It's important to stay hydrated and not pass out in such conditions.
Yeah, they received medical attention right away. On a different note, are you still going to pick up Mom from the airport tomorrow?
Yes, I'll pick her up around 3 p.m. Her flight should pull in just before then.
Great. Make sure you're there on time. Her flights usually pull in a bit early.
I will. And speaking of picking up, have you picked up any new hobbies lately?
Actually, I've started gardening. It's quite relaxing, and I get to pick up some new skills.
That's awesome. Gardening seems like a peaceful way to spend time.
It is. And thanks again for agreeing to pick up Mom. I know she's excited to see you.
Of course, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll make sure to pay back the camera repair costs soon.
Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate it.
Let's delve into another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide scenarios for each to ensure you grasp their meanings and applications.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is put away. This typically means to return something to its proper place after use. For example, after you finish reading a book, you might put it away on the shelf. It can also refer to saving money for the future or, in a more serious context, imprisoning someone.
So, if I clean my room and organize my toys, I'm putting them away?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about tidying up or storing something. Next, we have put off. This means to delay doing something or to postpone an event. If you have homework but decide to start it later because you want to watch a movie first, you're putting off your homework.
Like when a meeting is scheduled for today, but then is rescheduled for next week. It's been put off?
Precisely. It's about postponing or delaying. Now let's discuss put on. This phrasal verb has several uses, including to dress oneself in clothing to apply a substance like makeup, or to start operating a device like putting on the lights. It can also mean to pretend to have a particular feeling or to perform a show.
So, if I get dressed for school, or if we put on a play in class, both are correct uses?
That's right, Sarah. It's a versatile phrase that's commonly used in everyday language. Lastly, we have run away. This means to leave a place or person quickly, usually to escape something. It can refer to someone leaving home without intending to return or escaping from a dangerous situation.
If a character in a story leaves their home to go on an adventure without telling anyone, they're running away.
Exactly, Sarah. It's about escaping or leaving suddenly. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful for describing various actions and decisions. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your examples make them easy to understand. I'll start trying to use them in my sentences.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice is key to mastering these expressions. Keep up the good work, and soon they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, I am. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Davis. I'm looking forward to learning more.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm for learning is inspiring. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the fantastic work. Hey, Alex. Thanks for coming over. Sorry about the mess. I just haven't had the chance to put away my laundry yet.
No worries, Jamie. My place isn't much better. I always put off cleaning until the last minute.
Speaking of putting off, have you decided when you're going to start your new job?
I've put it off until next month. I needed a break after everything that's been going on.
That makes sense. You deserve a break. Oh, are you going to put on that new play you were talking about?
Yes, I'm planning to put it on in the fall. There's a lot of preparation involved, but I'm excited about it.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to see it. Remember how we used to put on little shows for our families when we were kids?
How could I forget? Those were the days. We had no fear of running away from a challenge.
True. Speaking of running away, did you hear about Sarah's cat? It ran away last week, but luckily they found it.
I didn't hear about that. I'm glad they found her cat. Running away can be quite an ordeal for pets and their owners.
Definitely. Anyway, I should probably put away these clothes. Do you want to help me, or would you prefer to put off any semblance of work today?
I'll help you put them away. It'll give us more time to catch up.
Thanks, Alex. It's always good to have you around. Let's dive into our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll explain each one with examples to ensure you understand how to use them effectively.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first phrasal verb?
The first one is run into. This phrase can mean to meet someone unexpectedly. For example, if you're at the grocery store and you see a friend you haven't seen in years, you've run into them. It can also mean to encounter a problem or difficulty, as in, We ran into some issues while trying to finish the project.
So, if I'm doing homework and find a question I can't answer, I'm running into a problem?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about encountering something or someone unexpectedly. Next, we have run out. This means to use all of something and have none left. For instance, if you're baking and you use the last of the sugar, you've run out of sugar. It implies a need to replenish whatever has been depleted.
Like if we have no milk left for breakfast, we've run out of milk?
Precisely. It's about exhausting a supply of something. Now, let's talk about set up. This can mean to arrange or prepare something for use. For example, setting up a computer involves connecting all its parts and installing necessary software. It can also mean to establish or start something, like setting up a business.
So, if I help organize chairs for a school event, I'm setting up for the event?
That's right, Sarah. It's about preparing or arranging. Lastly, we have show off. This means to display something proudly to gain admiration. For instance, if someone buys a new car and drives it around town to be seen by others, they're showing it off. It can also refer to demonstrating a skill or ability to impress others.
Like if I learn a new song on the piano and play it when my relatives visit, am I showing off my piano skills?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about exhibiting something with the intention of impressing others. You've done a fantastic job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful for describing various actions and interactions. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more confident, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help make them clear. I'll practice using them.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will indeed make perfect. Keep using them and soon they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready to continue our exploration with more lessons?
Yes, please. I'm enjoying these lessons a lot, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is truly inspiring. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the great work. Maya, guess who I ran into at the coffee shop today?
I have no idea. Who?
Our old roommate, Derek. I hadn't seen him since graduation.
Wow, that's such a coincidence. How is he doing?
He's doing great. He just got back from traveling in South America.
That sounds amazing. We should all catch up sometime.
Definitely. On a different note, did you remember to buy the snacks for our movie night?
Oh no, I completely ran out of time. The day just got away from me.
No worries. I can pick up some on my way over. Anything specific you want?
Just the usual. Oh, and can you grab some popcorn? Can't watch movies without popcorn.
Got it. Popcorn it is. How's the new projector setup going?
It's all set up and ready to show off its high-definition glory. You won't believe how clear the picture is.
I can't wait to see it. You always had a knack for showing off the best gadgets.
Well, you know me. I love my tech toys. This projector is definitely going to show off the movies in the best way.
Sounds like we're all set up for a great night. I'll make sure not to run out of snacks this time.
Perfect. And maybe we can plan a proper reunion with Derek soon.
I'll run it by him. He'd love to catch up with us too. Let's explore another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. As usual, I'll provide examples for each to help you understand their usage in everyday contexts.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first one is shut down. This phrase can mean to turn off a machine or system completely. For example, when you turn off your computer at the end of the day, you shut it down. It can also refer to closing a business or service, either temporarily or permanently.
So, if a store closes for renovation for a month, can we say it's shut down during that time?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about ceasing operation or activity. Next, we have sign in. This means to register your presence, usually by writing your name on a list or by entering your details into a system. For instance, when you log into your email account, you're signing in.
Like when I arrive at the doctor's office and write my name on the check in sheet, I'm signing in?
Precisely. It's a way to acknowledge your arrival or access. Now let's discuss sit down. This phrase simply means to take a seat. It's often used as an invitation or request for someone to join you or to prepare for a discussion, meal, or event.
So, if my teacher asks the class to sit down, she wants us all to take our seats?
That's right, Sarah. It's about preparing to focus or engage in an activity. Lastly, we have stand up. This can mean to rise from a seated position to a standing one. It can also refer to defending or supporting a cause or person, as in standing up for what you believe in.
Like if I stand up to give a presentation, I'm moving to a standing position. But if I defend a friend who's being bullied, I'm standing up for them?
Exactly, Sarah. It's a versatile phrase with both literal and figurative uses. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're essential for expressing a wide range of actions and decisions. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your examples are really helpful. I'll start trying to use them in my conversations.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will make these phrasal verbs become a natural part of your language skills. Keep up the good work and don't hesitate to explore more. Ready for our next lesson?
Yes, I am. Thanks for making English so interesting, Mr. Davis.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your willingness to learn makes teaching very rewarding. I'm looking forward to our next session together. Keep up the fantastic work.
Jake, did you hear that the main server shut down unexpectedly? It's causing a lot of delays.
Yeah, I just got the memo. I tried to sign into my account this morning and nothing was working. Do you know when it'll be back up?
The IT department is working on it, but they haven't given us a specific time yet. Meanwhile, we can't sign in to access our files.
That's going to shut down our productivity today. Anyway, have you had a chance to sit down with the team to discuss the new project proposal?
I was planning to, but we had to postpone it because of the server issue. I wanted everyone to sit down together and go through the details.
Makes sense. We'll need to reschedule once everything's back to normal. By the way, I really appreciated how you stood up for the team's ideas in yesterday's meeting.
Thanks, Jake. It's important to stand up for what we believe in, especially when it comes to creative projects. We all have great ideas worth hearing.
Absolutely. Let's hope the server issue gets resolved soon. It's hard to stay productive when our tools are shut down.
Agreed. Once we're able to sign in again, let's sit down and prioritize our tasks. We might need to stand up late to catch up, but we'll manage.
Definitely. A little overtime won't hurt. Thanks for keeping everything in perspective, Nina. Let's continue our journey through phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide examples for each to enhance your understanding and application.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first phrasal verb?
The first one is start over. This means to begin something again from the beginning, often because the first attempt was unsuccessful or because you want to try a different approach. For example, if you're writing an essay and you're not happy with your draft, you might decide to start over and write a new one.
So, if I mess up a drawing, I can just crumple the paper, throw it away, and start over with a blank sheet?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about beginning anew. Next, we have stay out. This phrase is used to describe not returning home until late or not going home at all for a period. For instance, if you go to a friend's house for a movie night and don't return until after midnight, you're staying out late.
Like when my parents tell me to be home by 10, but I don't come back until 11, I'm staying out past my curfew.
Precisely. It's about remaining away from home, especially beyond an expected or usual time. Now, let's talk about stick to. This means to continue doing or using something without changing. It can refer to following a plan, routine, or set of rules closely. For example, if you make a New Year's resolution to exercise every day and you actually do it, you're sticking to your resolution.
So, if I have a study schedule for exams and I don't skip any sessions, I'm sticking to my schedule.
That's right, Sarah. It's about adherence and commitment. Lastly, we have take off. This phrasal verb has several meanings. In the context of aviation, it means when an airplane leaves the ground and starts to fly. It can also mean to become successful very quickly or to leave a place in a hurry. Additionally, take off can refer to removing something you're wearing.
If I leave a party early because I'm tired, and then I come home and remove my shoes, am I taking off from the party and then taking off my shoes?
Exactly, Sarah. You've captured the versatility of take off perfectly. You're doing an excellent job grasping these phrasal verbs. They're crucial for expressing a range of actions and commitments. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more confident, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help. I'll practice using them in sentences.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice is key to making these phrasal verbs a natural part of your language. Keep up the good work and don't hesitate to experiment with using them in your daily conversations. Ready for more learning?
Yes, I am. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Davis. I'm excited to learn more.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm for learning is inspiring. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work. Riley, I've been thinking a lot about my job lately. I feel like I need to start over somewhere new.
Really? That's a big decision. But sometimes, to start over is the best way to find what you're truly passionate about.
Exactly. I just don't want to stay out of work for too long while I'm figuring things out.
You won't. You have great skills. Just stick to what you believe in, and you'll find something soon.
Thanks, I hope so. Speaking of plans, are we still going hiking this weekend?
Yes, let's stick to our plan. It'll be good to get out and clear our heads. Plus, the weather is supposed to take off and be beautiful.
Perfect. I could use a break. And I heard that trail we chose is about to really take off in popularity. We should enjoy it before it gets too crowded.
Definitely. Oh, and let's try to stay out as long as we can to make the most of it. Maybe even catch the sunset.
I love that idea. It's been a while since I just stayed out and enjoyed nature.
It's settled then. And Sam, about your job, whatever you decide, I know you'll take off in whatever you do next. You always land on your feet.
That means a lot, Riley. Thanks for the support. I'm ready to start over and see where it leads. Let's delve into our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll explain each one with examples to help you understand their meanings and how to use them.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. Let's start with the first one.
The first phrasal verb is talk into. This means to persuade someone to do something, usually something they were hesitant or reluctant to do initially. For example, if your friend didn't want to go to a dance class because they were nervous, but you convinced them to join you, you talked them into going.
So, if I convince my brother to watch a movie he's not sure about, I've talked him into watching it?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about persuading someone through discussion. Next, we have think over. This means to consider something carefully before making a decision. If you're offered a job but you're not sure whether to accept it, you might take some time to think it over, weighing the pros and cons.
Like when I have to decide on a project topic, I think over my options before choosing.
Precisely. It's about careful consideration. Now let's discuss throw away. This means to dispose of something that is no longer wanted or needed, typically in the trash. For example, if you have old notebooks from the previous school year that you no longer need, you might throw them away.
And if I have a shirt that's too small and I decide not to keep it, I'm throwing it away?
That's right, Sarah. It's about discarding something unnecessary. Lastly, we have try on. This refers to putting on clothes to see how they fit or look on you before deciding to buy or wear them. If you're shopping for a new dress and you put it on in the fitting room, you're trying it on.
So, when I'm at the store and I put on a jacket to see if I like it, I'm trying it on.
Exactly, Sarah. It's about testing the fit or appearance of clothing. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're very useful for expressing persuasion, contemplation, disposal, and experimentation. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your examples make them clear. I'll start using them more often.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice using them in context and they'll become an integral part of your vocabulary. Ready to tackle more phrasal verbs?
Yes, I am. These lessons are really helpful, Mr. Davis. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm and willingness to learn make teaching very rewarding. I'm looking forward to our next lesson. Keep up the great work.
Henry, you've got to try on this jacket. It would look great on you.
I don't know, Eliza. It doesn't really seem like my style.
Come on, just try it on for me. You might be surprised.
Fine, I'll try it on. Wow, you were right. It actually looks pretty good.
See? I told you. You should definitely get it.
I'll think it over. It's a bit pricey.
Understandable, but it's a good investment. Plus, it's perfect for the party next week.
True. I'll think it over and decide before we leave.
All right. Oh, look at these old concert tees. I can't believe someone would throw away something so vintage.
Yeah, it's surprising what people throw away these days. There's a lot of history in these teas.
Exactly. Hey, remember the hiking trip you mentioned last time? I've been thinking it over, and I'm in.
Really? I thought you weren't interested. What talked you into it?
Your stories about the last trip mostly talked me into it. Sounds like an adventure I don't want to miss.
That's great. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad I could talk you into it.
Me too. Now, let's not throw away any more time here. If you're going to buy the jacket, we should head out soon.
Agreed. I'll make a quick decision. Thanks for helping me try on new things, Eliza. Let's proceed with our exploration of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll explain each one with practical examples to ensure you grasp their application.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. Let's go through them.
The first one is turn down. This can mean to refuse or decline an offer or request. For example, if someone invites you to a party but you have prior commitments, you might have to turn down the invitation. It can also refer to reducing the volume, brightness, or intensity of something, like turning down the music if it's too loud.
So, if I'm offered more dessert but I'm full, I can say I'm turning it down?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about declining or reducing something. Next, we have turn off. This means to switch off a device or source of power, effectively stopping its operation. For instance, when you go to bed, you might turn off the lights in your room.
And if I'm leaving the house, I need to make sure to turn off the TV?
Precisely. It's about stopping something from running or operating. Now, let's discuss turn on. This is the opposite of turn off and means to activate or start a device or source of power. If it's getting dark outside, you might turn on the lights in your house.
Like when I come home and it's dark, I turn on the light as soon as I enter?
That's right, Sarah. It's about starting or activating something. Lastly, we have use up. This means to consume all of something, leaving nothing left. For example, if you're baking and you use the last of the flour, you've used it up and it's time to buy more.
So if I finish the last piece of paper in my notebook, I've used it up and need a new one?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about consuming something completely. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're quite common in everyday language and important for expressing a range of actions related to acceptance, operation, and consumption. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more confident, Mr. Davis. Your explanations make them easy to understand. I'll practice using them.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will make these phrases even more familiar to you. Keep up the good work and don't hesitate to use them in your daily conversations. Ready for more learning?
Yes, please. I'm enjoying these lessons a lot, Mr. Davis.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your eagerness to learn is inspiring. I look forward to our next session together. Keep up the fantastic work. We need to remember to turn off the lights in the living room when we're not using it. Our electric bill was through the roof last month.
You're right. I've been trying to be more mindful about that. Speaking of being mindful, could you please turn on the dishwasher when you go to bed? I loaded it up, but forgot to start it.
Sure thing. By the way, I was planning to make spaghetti for dinner, but it looks like we used up all the pasta sauce last time.
Oh no, I didn't realize we were out. I guess I used up more than I thought. Should I pick up some sauce on my way back from the gym?
That would be great. Since you're offering, could you also turn down the music a bit when you're working out at home? It's super loud in my room.
Of course, I didn't realize it was disturbing you. I'll make sure to turn it down.
Thanks. And don't forget to turn off the stove after you heat the sauce. We don't want to start a fire.
Got it. Safety first. I'll be careful to turn it off. And hey, for movie night, can we turn on that new horror film everyone's been talking about?
Sure, we can turn it on, just as long as we turn off all the lights to make it extra spooky.
Deal. It's going to be a fun night. Thanks for being such an easygoing roommate.
Likewise, living together is easy when we both do our part. Let's delve into our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. As always, I'll explain each one with examples to help you understand and remember how to use them.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is wake up. This means to stop sleeping and become alert and conscious. For example, every morning when your alarm clock rings, you wake up to start your day. It's the transition from sleep to wakefulness.
So, if I have to be up early for a trip, I might set an alarm to make sure I wake up on time?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about becoming alert after sleeping. Next, we have walk away. This can mean to leave a place or situation, often to avoid conflict or because you finished what you were doing. It can also imply leaving behind something without taking action or responsibility. For instance, If you're in an argument and decide it's not worth continuing, you might walk away to keep the peace.
Like if I'm at a yard sale and don't find anything interesting, I just walk away.
Precisely. It's about leaving or distancing oneself. Now let's talk about work out. This phrasal verb has several meanings. It can refer to engaging in physical exercise, like going to the gym. It can also mean to resolve a problem or that something has a successful outcome. For example, if you and a friend have a disagreement but manage to find a compromise, you've worked it out.
So, if I plan a schedule that lets me balance school and hobbies, I'm working out my time management?
That's right, Sarah. It's about finding solutions or engaging in physical activity. Lastly, we have write down. This means to record information on paper or another medium by writing. It's a way to remember something important, like when a teacher says to write down your homework assignments.
If I take notes during class, I'm writing down what I need to remember?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about documenting information. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're useful for expressing a variety of actions and decisions. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much better about them, Mr. Davis. Your examples make them clear. I'll try to use them more often.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice is key to becoming comfortable with these expressions. Keep up the good work, and soon they'll be second nature. Ready to continue our journey with more phrasal verbs?
Yes, I am. These lessons are really helpful, Mr. Davis. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your willingness to learn makes teaching very rewarding. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work.
Liam, you always seem so energetic. What's your secret?
Honestly, Sophia, it's all about the routine. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, even on weekends.
5 a.m.? That's when I usually wake up from my first dream. How do you manage to wake up so early?
It was tough at first, but now my body's used to it. The key is consistency. Plus, it gives me time to work out before heading to work.
Speaking of working out, I started jogging recently, but had to walk away from it. Just couldn't stick with it.
Why did you walk away? Jogging is a great way to stay fit.
I know, but my knee started acting up. I think I need to find a workout that's a better fit for me.
That makes sense. It's important to listen to your body. Maybe try out swimming. It's easier on the joints.
That's a good idea. I'll give it a shot. By the way, I heard you're planning a trip to Europe next month. How's the planning going?
It's going well. I've been writing down all the places I want to visit. It helps me organize my itinerary.
That's smart. I should write down things more often. I tend to forget if I don't.
Definitely. Writing down your goals, plans, or even what you need to buy at the grocery store can be really helpful.
Agreed. I'm going to start doing that, especially for my workouts. Maybe that will help me stay on track.
Absolutely, it could make a big difference. And if you ever want to work out together or need tips on waking up early, just let me know.
Thanks, Liam. I just might take you up on that. And who knows? Maybe I won't be so quick to walk away from my next fitness endeavor.
Let's tackle another set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll explain each one with examples to ensure you fully grasp their usage.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is zone out. This means to stop paying attention or to become distracted, often thinking about something else entirely. For instance, if you're in a long meeting and you start thinking about your weekend plans instead of listening, you're zoning out.
So, if I'm staring at my book but really thinking about a movie, I'm zoning out?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about losing focus. Next, we have wrap up. This can mean to conclude something, such as a meeting, a project, or an event. For example, when you finish all the tasks for a project and bring it to a close, you're wrapping it up. It can also mean to physically cover something with wrapping material.
Like when we finish our class discussion and the teacher summarizes the key points, she's wrapping up the lesson?
Precisely. It's about bringing something to a conclusion. Now, let's discuss wear out. This phrase is used to describe something becoming unusable from overuse or to become extremely tired. For example, if you have a favorite pair of shoes that you wear every day and they start to fall apart, they've worn out.
And if I'm really tired after a long day of hiking, I can say I'm worn out?
That's right, Sarah. It's about exhaustion or degradation over time. Lastly, we have watch out. This is a warning to be careful or to pay attention to potential danger. For instance, if you're walking and there's a broken step ahead, someone might yell, "Watch out," to prevent you from tripping.
So, if my friend is about to step on a slippery surface, I should tell them to watch out?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about alerting someone to a potential hazard. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful for expressing a range of actions and states. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your explanations make them easy to understand. I'll practice using them.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will make these phrases even more familiar to you. Keep up the good work and soon they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, I am. Thanks for all your help, Mr. Davis. I'm excited to learn more.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your enthusiasm for learning is inspiring. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the fantastic work.
Tom, during the last meeting, I noticed you seemed to zone out a bit when we were discussing the budget. Everything okay?
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Ava. My mind just tends to zone out when we get into the nitty-gritty of numbers. I'll make sure to stay more focused next time.
It's all right. Just make sure to watch out for that in the future. We need everyone fully engaged, especially when we're wrapping up the project.
Understood. Speaking of wrapping up, how much longer do you think we have before the project is completely finished?
If everything goes according to plan, we should wrap it up by the end of next month, just in time for the quarterly review.
That's great to hear. I can't wait to see the final outcome after all the hard work we've put in. Though, I must admit it's starting to wear me out.
I know what you mean. It's been a marathon, not a sprint. Just remember to take breaks so you don't completely wear yourself out. Burnout won't help us cross the finish line.
You're right. It's just hard to step back when there's so much to do. By the way, watch out for that email from the design team. They had some feedback that might require a few adjustments to our plan.
I saw that. Thanks for the heads up. We'll need to address it in the next meeting. It's important to watch out for those updates, as they can significantly impact our timeline.
Definitely. I'll make sure to keep an eye on those emails more diligently, and maybe find a way to not zone out during our budget discussions.
Maybe take detailed notes? Sometimes, actively writing down information can help keep you engaged.
That's a good suggestion. I'll try that next time. Thanks, Ava, for being understanding. I'll make sure to wrap up my part of the project without further delays.
No problem, Tom. We're a team after all. Let's just keep pushing forward and make sure we're taking care of ourselves in the process.
Let's continue our exploration of phrasal verbs with another interesting set, Sarah. I'll provide examples for each to help you understand their meanings and how they are used.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. Let's start with the first one.
The first phrasal verb is wash up. This has a couple of common meanings. Firstly, it refers to the act of cleaning oneself, particularly one's hands and face, often before a meal. For example, you might wash up before dinner. Secondly, in British English, it can also mean to clean the dishes after a meal.
So, if my mom asks me to wash up after playing outside, she means to clean my hands?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about personal cleanliness or tidying up after meals. Next, we have warm up. This can mean to prepare for physical activity by doing gentle exercises or stretches to prevent injury. It's what athletes do before starting their training or competitions. It can also refer to making something warm, like heating up food, or to gradually become friendlier or more comfortable in a social situation.
Like when I do stretches before starting my dance class, I'm warming up.
Precisely. It's about preparing your body for more strenuous activity or getting comfortable in an environment. Now, let's talk about wait up. This phrase is often used to ask someone to stay awake or not go to bed because you expect to join them soon or have something to discuss. For example, if you're coming home late and want someone to stay awake until you arrive, you might ask them to wait up for you.
So, if my dad is coming home late and wants to talk when he gets back, he might ask me to wait up.
That's right, Sarah. It's about asking someone to postpone going to bed for a while. Lastly, we have vote down. This means to reject or defeat a proposal or motion through a voting process. For instance, if a new law is proposed in a council and more members vote against it than for it, the law is voted down.
Like if there's a suggestion for a new school rule, but most students don't like it, it can be voted down in the student council?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about using a vote to reject or disapprove of a proposal. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're very useful for describing daily activities and processes. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much better about them, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help make them clear. I'll start using them in my conversations.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice is key to mastering these expressions. Keep up the good work and soon they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, please. I enjoy learning about phrasal verbs. They make English more interesting.
Wonderful, Sarah. Your enthusiasm is truly inspiring. I look forward to our next lesson. Keep up the fantastic work.
Morgan, could you please wash up the dishes from last night? The sink is overflowing.
Oh yeah, sure thing. I'll wash up before I head out. Sorry about that.
No worries. Also, it's a bit chilly in here, don't you think? I'm going to warm up the living room.
Good idea, it's freezing. A nice warm-up would make this place more comfortable.
Definitely. Hey, were you planning to wait up for me last night? I saw the lights were on when I got back.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure you got home safe, but I ended up falling asleep on the couch.
That's sweet. Thanks for trying to wait up. Oh, did you hear about the community vote on the new park?
I did. I heard it got voted down. There was quite a bit of opposition, apparently.
Yeah, it's disappointing. The park would have been a great addition to our neighborhood. I can't believe it was voted down.
I know, right? It seems like a missed opportunity for everyone. Maybe they'll reconsider it in the future.
Hopefully. Well, I'm going to warm up some breakfast. Would you like anything?
That sounds great, thanks. I'll finish washing up these dishes then.
Perfect. Let's make sure to warm up the car too before we leave. It's supposed to be even colder today.
Will do. Thanks for the reminder. And Leslie, maybe we can gather more support and try to vote down any opposition if the park proposal comes up again.
Great idea, Morgan. Let's do that. It's worth another shot for sure.
Let's tackle another group of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll provide detailed explanations and examples for each to help you grasp their usage.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is venture out. This means to leave a safe place and go into an unknown or potentially dangerous area, often for adventure or discovery. For example, if you decide to leave your house during a storm to explore or fulfill a necessity, you're venturing out into the storm.
So, if I decide to go hiking in the woods far from my usual trails, I'm venturing out?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about going somewhere new or risky. Next, we have vamp up. This phrase is less commonly used in everyday conversation but means to improve something, making it more attractive, interesting, or effective. For instance, if you take an old piece of furniture and refurbish it to look modern and stylish, you're vamping it up.
Like if I take a plain dress and add some cool designs to make it stand out, I'm vamping it up?
Precisely. It's about giving something a new, improved look or feel. Now, let's discuss wind down. This means to relax or settle down after being very active or busy. It can also refer to gradually concluding activities as you approach the end of something, like the end of a day or a project.
So, if I take a hot bath after a long day of school and sports, I'm winding down?
That's right, Sarah. It's about easing into a state of relaxation. Lastly, we have go through. This phrasal verb has several meanings, including to examine or search within something, to endure an experience or process, and to use up something completely.
If I'm looking through my closet to find a specific shirt, I'm going through my clothes? And if I have a tough time at school, I'm going through a hard time?
Exactly, Sarah. It can refer to both the physical act of searching and the emotional process of experiencing something. You've done an excellent job understanding these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful for expressing actions and experiences. How do you feel about them now?
I feel a lot more comfortable with them, Mr. Davis. Your explanations make them easy to understand. I'll try to use them.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will make these phrasal verbs become second nature to you. Keep up the good work and don't hesitate to experiment with using them in your conversations. Ready for more lessons?
Yes, I am. Thanks for making English so engaging, Mr. Davis.
You're welcome, Sarah. Your willingness to learn and apply what you've learned is commendable. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the fantastic work.
Oliver, I think it's time we venture out and explore that new hiking trail by the lake. What do you say?
That sounds like a great idea, Mia. I've been wanting to venture out more now that the weather's nicer. Plus, it'll be a good break from the usual routine.
Exactly my thought. And I was thinking, maybe we could vamp up our gear a bit? Get some new hiking boots or backpacks?
I like that. A little vamping up could make the trip more exciting. Plus, my old gear could use an upgrade.
After we venture out on Saturday, how about we wind down at that new cafe downtown? I've heard they have the best smoothie bowls.
Oh, that's perfect. A good wind-down spot is exactly what we'll need after a day of hiking.
Yeah. Speaking of winding down, how have you been holding up lately? I know you've been going through a lot with work and everything.
Thanks for asking, Mia. It's been a rough patch, but I'm getting through it. Taking it one day at a time. This weekend plan of ours is actually something I'm really looking forward to.
I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes, stepping away and going through new experiences is the best way to deal with stress.
Definitely. And I'm lucky to have a friend like you to venture out with. It makes going through life's ups and downs a bit easier.
Always, Oliver. Can't wait for our adventure. Let's make a list of what we need to vamp up and start planning properly.
Agreed. It's going to be a weekend to remember. Let's dive into our next set of phrasal verbs, Sarah. I'll explain each one with examples to ensure you grasp their application and usage.
I'm ready, Mr. Davis. What's the first one?
The first phrasal verb is tuck in. This can mean to securely place the edges of a blanket or sheet under the mattress when making a bed or preparing someone, usually a child, for sleep. It can also colloquially mean to start eating, especially with enthusiasm.
So, if my mom prepares me for bed and covers me with a blanket, she's tucking me in? And if we're about to eat a big meal and she says, tuck in, it means we can start eating?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about securing something snugly or beginning to eat. Next, we have trim down. This usually refers to reducing something in size, amount, or numbers to make it more manageable or attractive. For example, if someone is trying to lose weight, they might say they're trying to trim down.
Like if I have a paper that's too long and I remove some parts to meet the word count, I'm trimming it down?
Precisely. It's about making reductions to improve or fit certain criteria. Now let's talk about touch up. This means to make small improvements or corrections to something, often to its appearance. It's commonly used in the context of painting, makeup, or photography to refine the final result.
So, if I have a photo and I adjust the brightness to make it look better, I'm touching it up?
That's right, Sarah. It's about minor adjustments or improvements. Lastly, we have tie up. This phrasal verb has several meanings, including to fasten or secure with a rope or cord. It can also mean to conclude or finalize something, such as a deal or agreement. Additionally, tie up can refer to occupying someone or something completely, leaving no free time or resources.
If I'm finishing all the paperwork for a club at school, I'm tying up loose ends?
Exactly, Sarah. It's about securing, concluding, or fully occupying. You've done an excellent job with these phrasal verbs. They're quite useful for describing various actions and processes. How do you feel about them now?
I feel much more confident, Mr. Davis. Your examples really help. I'll practice using them.
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. Practice will indeed make perfect. Keep using them and they'll become a natural part of your vocabulary. Ready to explore more phrasal verbs?
Yes, I am. These lessons are really helpful, Mr. Davis. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Sarah. Your eagerness to learn makes teaching a joy. I look forward to our next session. Keep up the fantastic work. Hey Casey, have you decided on what you're wearing to the wedding next weekend?
Yeah, I picked out a suit, but it needs to be tucked in at the waist a bit. It's a bit loose.
That makes sense. You want to tuck in your shirt properly too for a polished look. I need to trim down my suit pants. They're a bit long.
Good idea. I also noticed my dress shoes are a bit scuffed. They could use a quick touch-up.
I can help you with that. A little touch-up polish and they'll look as good as new. Also, I've been trying to trim down a bit at the gym, hoping to look my best for the wedding photos.
You've been doing great. I've noticed the effort you're putting in. As for me, I still need to tie up some loose ends with the hotel booking for the wedding night.
Oh, right. We should definitely tie up those details soon. Last-minute bookings can be a nightmare.
Absolutely. I'll give them a call this afternoon and make sure everything's tied up.
Great. After we tuck in, trim down, and touch up everything, we're going to look sharp. This wedding's going to be a lot of fun.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about the details, right? Thanks for helping me get everything sorted.
Anytime, Casey. It's what friends are for. Let's make sure everything is tied up so we can enjoy the celebration without any worries.